Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my Monday Night Raw review. And tonight's Raw was held from the Pepsi Center in Denver, Colorado. And I gotta say, tonight's Raw, while it wasn't a great show or good show by any means, there were some shit matches here, but you know there were some matches that were decent tonight that I liked. So to me, Raw was a solid show, in my opinion. It's better than the Raws that we have gotten for the past months, in my opinion. So let's get started with the review. And the show opened up with limo was there at the arena, and we see Stephanie McMahon and Triple H come out, and of course today was Stephanie's birthday. So, and we had Baron Corbin come in there, and he was singing happy birthday to Stephanie, which was pretty horrible. It was pretty horrible singing from Baron Corbin. And Stephanie says she expected Corbin to lead and make good decisions for Raw. That Kurt Angle has been on vacation, and Stephanie says to Corbin, if he has a problem with the Shield, because Corbin has been having problems with the Shield. If he has a problem with the Shield, he better go find 2 tag team partners and take on the Shield. So eventually, we're gonna get that tonight. We're gonna get a a 6-man tag team match with the Shield and Baron Corbin and his mystery tag team partners. So eventually, that opened up Raw tonight. And then we had the Shield come out. Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns. And Dean Ambrose says, these are, what the people are looking at in the ring are the 3 workhorses in WWE. Dean then goes on to say that, they may have lost a few battles here and there, and, they never lost, they never lost a war, and that they are still standing. And Roman, gets on the mic and says, and of course when Roman spoke, you heard boos go in. There were some cheers, smart cheers for Roman. And Roman says, the championships are the keys to the kingdom. And, he goes on to say that the stars who hold the championships are the ones, standing in the ring right now. Because we see, Roman ended up holding up the Universal Championship. Seth Rollins, has, the Intercontinental Championship. And, you kind of feel bad for, Dean there, because he has no championship on him. So, you kind of felt a little, awkward seeing that. But, seeing that, Roman and Seth, have titles and Dean, doesn't. And so Seth Rollins says, tonight Baron Corbin, thinks the Shield, is a problem. And he says, to Corbin that, they are out here and, how much, big of a problem, are, they are going to be. And so Seth ends up, telling Corbin to come out, right now. So Corbin then comes out and says that, he's not going to let Raw erupt into madness. And he's putting his foot down. And Corbin goes on to say that his partners are going to throw the Shield around like rag dolls. And that he is going to impress, Stephanie. And he ends up calling the Shield self-individuals. He ends up, introducing, the Dogs of War, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, and Braun Strowman. So Strowman gets on the mic and he says to Roman that he better shine the championship, the Universal Championship, up nice, because he's not going to wear it, because Roman is not going to wear it that long. And he goes on to say that at the Super Showdown, it's going to be the two of them versus the four of them, and it's going to be that at the Super Showdown. Sorry about that, but I was saying, Braun Strowman said, at the Super Showdown, it's going to be the two of them versus the four of them, and he's not talking about Baron Corbin. So, and then Seth ends up telling Strowman, his math is off, and he should get it straight. Dolph Ziggler says to Dean that the Shield needs him, and that he doesn't need them, that Dean doesn't need them. And he ends up saying that Dean has nothing because Seth and Roman have titles. And then Drew McIntyre says, the truth is last week Dean pushed him to his limit, and that he came away with a lucky victory. And he goes on to say to Dean that Seth and Roman doesn't appreciate them. Doesn't appreciate him. And Dolph says Dean is just is a sucker. And he says Dolph says Drew and him are the tag team champions, and at Crown Jewel, Strowman is going to beat Roman for the Universal Championship. And Dolph ends up telling Dean, why don't you come hang with us, and be a fourth member of the Dogs of War. And Roman ends up telling Dolph to just shut up, and that the people pay money not to hear him flap his gums, but to see the Shield whoop the Dogs of War asses. And Corbin says, this is not happening. He doesn't want, he doesn't want a brawl. And he says Drew and Dolph have to defend their Raw Tag Team Championships tonight. And defend their Tag Team Championships tonight against the Revival. And Corbin ends up saying that his tag team partners are going to destroy the Shield's little reunion. And so that pretty much ended the segment. But I say it was a decent segment between between the Shield, Corbin, and the Dogs of War. And then we had after that we had the first match of the night, which was a shitty match. In my opinion, it was Finn Balor versus Jinder Mahal. You had Bayley come out with Finn Balor because they're going to be in the mixed match challenge, and we had Alicia Fox and Sunil Singh out there. Alicia Fox is Jinder's partner for the mixed match challenge, and they're going to be going at it tomorrow night. So that's happening tomorrow night. We're going to get to see Jinder and Finn go at it again. So, but all in all, it was shitty match. Didn't care for the match. Finn Balor ended up getting the win with the roll up on Jinder to score the win. And after the match, you had Jinder. He was getting pissed at Sunil because during the match, at the end of the match, Bayley ended up taking down Alicia Fox, ended up kneeing Alicia, and Bayley ended up delivering a Bayley to belly on Sunil Singh outside, which looked horrible. Sunil ended up selling that horribly, in my opinion. But yes, that's So after the match, that's what led Jinder to get, pissed at Sunil. And it looked like, he was going to, throw punches at Sunil. And then, Jinder ended up calming down. And then he was doing this whole, his whole Shanti, thing. Which, is shitty. And, yeah, we saw that after the match. Jinder Mahal ended up calming down, doing the whole Shanti shit. So, but yeah, all in all, it was a shitty match, in my opinion. Then we had a 6-woman tag team match. It was the Riott Squad versus Brie versus the Bellas and Natalya. This was an entertaining match, in my opinion. This was a decent match. It was enjoyable. It was back and forth between these teams. You had all the women in this match hit a triple suplex, which looked really cool. Brie ended up doing the yes kicks to Liv Morgan, and from what I read in reports, Liv Morgan possibly has an injury now because Brie ended up botching two of the yes kicks at the end. When she did it, she got 2 kicks to Liv Morgan's face, and Liv was too late to to block the kicks, and so Brie ended up doing that, and we saw Brie probably talking to Liv, saying that she was okay, looked like, but in the end, Ruby Riott ended up hitting the Riott kick to Natalya to score the win. So the Riott Squad ended up winning the match. But all in all, it was a decent match. It was an enjoyable match, in my opinion. Felt pretty bad about Liv Morgan, and how Brie accidentally did those 2 yes kicks to Liv's face, and Liv might have a possible injury because of that now. But it was an enjoyable 6-woman tag team match. WWE has been giving us these 6 man tag, these 6-woman tags. WWE likes their 6-man and 6-woman tag team matches. We have seen a lot of them so far. So, and then we had Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. They were in the ring with the Konner's Cure. We saw that they gave these 2 kids, which was a boy and a girl. The boy got his own Universal Championship. The girl got the Raw Women's Championship. And the partners that they partnered up with, Hyundai, they donated. Hyundai donated $200 to the Konner's Cure to continue pediatric, to continue the pediatric cancer thing that WWE does with the Konner's Cure. So that took up the beginning of the second hour of Raw. So that was that. And then we had Dolph Ziggler come up to Dean Ambrose. Dean Ambrose ends up grabbing Dolph. Dolph says to him that Seth and Roman don't give a damn about him. And he says to Dean that he hasn't got to do anything tonight. Just to give a signal. When Dolph and Drew's match, with the Revival. Basically Dolph wants Dean to not do anything during their match. And so that was that. Then we had Konner versus Chad Gable. Once again, Gable and Gable going up against an Ascension, guy. Of course, Bobby Roode was out there. But this match, was a short match. Wasn't that great of a match, in my opinion. Konner ended up beating Chad Gable with the Dominator to Chad Gable. So it was a short match. Wasn't great by any means. Then we had Stephanie and Triple H backstage. Charlie Caruso interviews Triple H about Undertaker's comments last week. And Triple H says, Taker is worried about a suit. If Taker is worried about a suit, he's already lost. And Triple H says, they're not going to be fighting in suits or in the boardroom. And he ends up saying, Taker, is going to take, his soul. And Triple H says, he sold it a long time ago. And Triple H ends up saying, when it comes to Undertaker, the end is near. So that's when Triple H, got in the limo and the limo drove off. But it was a decent interview with Triple H. More hyping up his match with The Undertaker at the Super Showdown. So that was that. Then we had the Raw Tag Team Championships match. Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre versus Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder of the Revival. And this was a entertaining match. This was a decent match. It was back and forth between them. It looked like at one point in the match, because Scott Dawson, I think it was Scott Dawson, he ended up hitting a clothesline. He went for the pin. It looked like it was a 3 count, but it was a kick out. And I was like to myself, oh, that was 3. But definitely, referee said it wasn't a 3 count. And so at the end of the match, Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre win the match. They end up hitting the Claymore zigzag combo on Dash Wilder. And so Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre win it. They still retain the Raw Tag Team Championships. So all in all, it was a decent match. I liked it. Oh, and I forgot to mention when Raw started, WWE introduced a new intro. You know how it has that, then, now, and forever. They used that for like a few years. They ended up changing it, and I actually like this new WWE intro. It was pretty good. I loved it. So then we had Elias was out. This was the Kevin Owens show segment. Elias is out. He ends up saying that Denver doesn't deserve a performance tonight, and so he introduces Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens ends up coming out for his own show, for the Kevin Owens show, and Owens thanks Elias for the introduction. Goes on to say that he's a big fan of his, and he says to Elias that he's glad to team up with him to take on Bobby Lashley and John Cena at the Super Showdown. And Kevin Owens then starts to talk about Lio Rush, and he says he wants to get to know Lio Rush a little better. And Lio Rush ends up coming out. He ends up thanking Owens for bringing him out. Lio Rush says, him and Lashley made both Kevin Owens and Elias look like fools last week, which, my opinion, was one of the best parts of Raw last week. Lio trying to dodge, Kevin Owens and Elias by leaping over them. It was pretty funny. Sorry about that, but Lio Rush ends up saying, he's just going to stay on the stage. And, Kevin Owens and Elias says, they got a special seat for Lio. And we see Owens take out a small seat, and he puts it on a chair, which I thought was funny. And then, Bobby Lashley ended up coming out. So that was a segment. I mean, it was meh segment. Then we had Bobby Lashley versus Elias. This was a okay match. Of course, we had Lio Rush outside, and Kevin Owens was on the outside too. I like this pairing between Lio Rush and Bobby Lashley. I think Lio Rush is going to make Bobby Lashley more of a standout superstar, and it's a good pairing. It's a good pairing, and then at the end of the match, Bobby Lashley ended up winning the match by disqualification because Kevin Owens comes and knees Bobby Lashley because Kevin Owens was running after Lio Rush, and of course Leo's quickness, was cool. The quickness of Lio Rush. He's trying to get away from Kevin Owens. After the match, we see just Kevin Owens keeps on going after Lio Rush. He eventually grabs a hold of Lio, and looks like Owens was going for a pop-up powerbomb on Lio, and Lashley ends up coming in to make the save. He ends up taking out Kevin Owens, and pretty much that's what happened after the match. So, but all in all, the match itself, it was okay. Then after that, we saw Seth Rollins ends up coming up to Drew McIntyre backstage. Seth says he would like to give Drew a taste of the truth. He goes on to say that that McIntyre is the one who's being used. And Seth goes to say to McIntyre, "Oh, you think Braun Strowman gives a damn about you?" And he ends up saying, "Oh, Strowman is just using you to get what he wants." And he ends up telling, ends up telling McIntyre that Dolph Ziggler is the weak link in their team. And he says to McIntyre, McIntyre's been carrying Dolph every step of the way. And Seth ends up saying to him, "Oh, you should take a long look in the mirror and think about who's being used." So that was the whole backstage segment with Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. Eventually, it looked like if McIntyre was going to take sides, but eventually that didn't happen. Sorry about that, but I was saying it looked like they were gonna try to make Drew go away from Dolph Ziggler and Braun Strowman, because WWE has been rumored saying that we're gonna give Drew a singles opportunities, break him away from Dolph Ziggler. But I mean, that's what it looked like in my opinion, though, what they were trying to do. So then we had Nia Jax versus Alicia Fox. This was your typical women's match. Nia Jax had Amber Moon out there, and of course Alicia Fox had Mickie James and Alexa Bliss. Amber Moon ended up taking down Mickie James outside, which was cool. Nia Jax ended up throwing Alicia around at the beginning points of the match. And in the end, Nia Jax ended up getting the win. She ended up hitting Alicia Fox with the Samoan drop. So, typical women's match, in my opinion. Then you had Drew McIntyre comes to confront Dean Ambrose about what Seth Rollins said to him, and he ends up saying to Dean, he has a couple of theories as to why Seth ended up saying that, and he ends up saying perhaps Seth wants a 4-man Shield, and he goes on to say that Seth realized everything that he, Dolph, and Strowman said was true, and that he's looking for a replacement. So that was that. Then we had the main event. It was the Shield. Of course, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin and his 2 tag team partners. And so Corbin ends up coming out. He says tonight is the first match for the on Raw for the Shield in nearly a year. And yes, it's been nearly a year since the Shield had a match, together, all 3 of them. And Corbin goes on to say, from the way things have been going, it might be the Shield's last match together. So Corbin ends up saying, we all see the breakup is coming for the Shield. And he introduces his 2 tag team partners. And his 2 tag team partners are revealed to be AOP. And kind of knew that Corbin was gonna go with and tag with AOP, which I knew that. So yeah, it was the main event: Shield versus Baron Corbin and AOP, and this was a decent main event. This was an enjoyable main event. Just back and forth. Baron Corbin, I have to say, he's getting, a little better in the ring. And the Shield, of course, we're pretty decent. And at the end of the match, of course, Roman Reigns. Roman ends up ending the match. Roman ends up hitting the spear to Corbin, and so that's what happened. Roman ended up hitting the spear to Corbin. Shield win it. It's a 6-man tag team match. So, and then of course you had the Dogs of War sitting on the stage, and when the Shield were looking at the Dogs of War. The Dogs of War made their way down from the stage, down to outside near the ring, and they ended up sitting there. But after the match, it looked like Dean Ambrose was going to make a choice, and a lot of people were bought in that there might have been that there was going to be a heel turn. But I'm like, I'm not stupid. I knew that there wasn't going to be no heel turn here because they got a match at the Super Showdown, so it wouldn't have made any sense if they were to turn Dean Ambrose heel here tonight. So of course Dean ended up making the choice, and because he was out there, he was looking at the he was looking at the Dogs of War out there, and he ended up making the choice. And of course, he ends up going into the ring and being with his Shield brothers, and you know they all do the Shield fist, on there that they always do. And pretty much that was how the way Raw ended tonight. So I mean, I know, WWE made us all think, that there was going to be a heel turn with, Dean Ambrose, but nobody, people, you could tell in the crowd bought into it. I certainly didn't, because I knew that they weren't going to do it, because it would have been ridiculous if that would have happened, because they have a match at the like I said, they have a match at the Super Showdown. So yeah. So anyways, all in all, the main event, the Shield versus Baron Corbin and AOP 6-man tag, it was a decent match. It was a decent main event. So yeah. So anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw. Thank you all for watching, and be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I hope you all enjoyed this review. And I will see you all back here tomorrow night for the SmackDown review and also the mixed match challenge review. So I'll see you all tomorrow night with the video of the SmackDown review and also the mixed match challenge review in the same video. So to that video, I'll see you all tomorrow night.